Welcome back to the Blue North. Today I'd like to follow up a little bit on Joe Biden's racist comment where he told a black man that if he wasn't voting for him, then he's just not black. This is appalling. This is beyond appalling. But see, this this is the true colors of not just Joe Biden, but the Democrats. See, Joe Biden also said that poor kids are just as bright as white kids. So by this deduction, all black kids are poor. At least they're all equal as far as having brains in Joe Biden's world. But this is the party that has so desperately, in the last little while, tried to get everybody to believe that they're not the Democrat Party that voted 100% against blacks being free. They wanted them to continue to be slaves. So they want to try and come out from that history. And then they want everybody to believe that they're not the party that voted against them having voting rights. But they are. You can't hide from your history because you're embarrassed of it. You can't do that. The mainstream media is trying to help the Democrats do that because the Democrats, are the darling of the mainstream media. So here we go with Joe Biden again making another racist comment, another gaffe along the way to try to take on Donald Trump. But the problem is, Joe Biden wants the black vote, but when he actually is in power, he did nothing to deserve it or to actually have them vote for him. See, Donald Trump, in his 4 years as president, managed to do something that the black president, Barack Obama, never did. And the mainstream media tried to hide the very fact that he did it from the American people. Everybody remembers that Kellyanne Conway had her feet up on the couch in the Oval Office and how the media made such a big deal, how disrespectful and awful and terrible that this thing was, that she had her feet up on the couch in the Oval Office. Now, Barack Obama, there's pictures of him with his feet up on the resolution desk. That wasn't disrespectful. But yet Kellyanne Conway's feet on a mere couch that they put in a storage and bring out a different one for every president, that somehow was disrespectful? Well, what was going on when Kellyanne Conway had her feet on the couch? Donald Trump was at the desk, the very desk that Obama had his feet up on. He should have been trying to do more things like what Donald Trump was doing instead of putting his feet up on the desk and posing for pictures like he was really doing something. But here, Donald Trump was at the desk with a contingent of black people around him. Now, these were black leaders in the community that were hoping for a change, for something to be given to them, to help them. And Donald Trump gave them that. He signed into power, tripling the funding for education of inner city blacks. Well, Donald Trump, the racist president, the one that the mainstream media wants you to believe is racist, would any racist sign into power, tripling the amount of funding being sent to the very people you hate? Well, absolutely not. But the mainstream media would want you to believe that. The Democrats are trying so desperately to come out from their history, to come out from underneath it. They don't want anybody to remember it. So the media is trying to help them. They're using the media to keep saying the same thing over and over again. Well, the Republicans of today are the Democrats that voted 100% against. Well, no. The values of the Republicans have never changed. And the values of the Democrats have never changed. And we're seeing that the Democrats are trying so hard to turn the tides and make everybody in America believe that they are not the party of the KKK. And yet, Robert Byrd, the longest serving senator, a grand wizard or whatever you call it of that hate group, whatever the top of that group is, nobody cares. The grand fool of the KKK was Hillary Clinton's mentor, and she loved him. It was this man was worthy of her admiration and her embrace and her kiss on the cheek, and she loved him. And when he died, it was such a sad and horrible thing for the Democrat Party. Grand Wizard or whatever of the KKK. Pretty much the highest you can go in that hate group. So they're not the party. They're not the party of the KKK. That's the Republicans. Now you have Joe Biden saying stuff like, well, if you don't vote for me, you're just not black. Well, I'm Irish. If Joe Biden's on this trail long enough, he's going to offend every group. When he gets to the Irish, I guess we can't feel left, we might be left out maybe. We should feel left out if he doesn't pick on us. But to be told I have to vote a certain way because I'm Irish would make me furious. So the black community right now must be absolutely beside themselves that they are being used as a pawn, and that a candidate running for the president of the United States would stoop so low as to say that, well, you're black, you better vote for me or you're not black enough. That's an insult, because within the black community, there is there's a bit of a rivalry about blacks not acting in a certain way amongst themselves. So you want to play part of that? You want to be involved in that? And you know what? It goes so far back as there was an episode on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where Will Smith and Carlton were at a frat party, and they couldn't join because Carlton was a well-dressed man. He liked to wear sweater vests, and he liked to wear, and he spoke in a certain way. And one of the other blacks that was in charge of the fraternity didn't want him because he wasn't black enough. I remember this episode, and I remember thinking to myself, does that really happen? And it does. And it's sad, and it's horrible. See, that doesn't happen in the Irish community. Nobody says if you're not drinking enough, you're not Irish enough. There's not that insult going back and forth. So knowing that it happens, and then having someone like Joe Biden say, if you don't vote for me, you're just not black enough. It's already something that is existing, and you're hoping that he knew what he was doing with that statement. He knew full well what he was saying to that black interviewer. And it goes well beyond racist. See, Joe's been around the block enough. He's 77. He knows that that's going on in the black community. And he still chose to do it. I don't even have the words to say how disgusting and despicable that is. But he did it. So now America has to make a decision. This is an election year. This is an election year. Do you go for the guy? Do you vote for Trump, who's managed to get unemployment in the black community lower than it has ever been in the history of the country, or the Hispanics, or the Asian? Or do you vote for the guy who's trying to get you to believe that the other party is the bad party? No, they did all the bad stuff over there. Those guys. We're fantastic over here. He has done nothing. He's made gaffes. He's made all kinds of crazy statements. He's lied about everything. Lied about where he placed in his class at law school. He said, oh yeah, I finished at the top of my class. No, you didn't. I mean, you barely passed. I don't even know right now if Joe Biden knows how to spell Joe Biden. He's not cognitively sound. Maybe that's why the Democrats haven't came out and said that he's our guy. Maybe they're waiting to see if somebody else will step up. Can't be Bernie. can't be Bernie. They worked against him on 2 different occasions. When Hillary ran and when Joe's running, they worked against him because they know that a socialist running for the president of the United States is going to let the House, the Senate, and the White House all go Republican. For sure. Nobody's going to vote for them. So what are they going to do now? But they're almost at a point where they have to ask Joe to step down. This is kind of like the last nail in the coffin, you would think. How many times can a man make a stupid statement and get away with it? Well, the mainstream media is helping. You know, they have a lot of help. But how many times can somebody say something so stupid and get away with it? But now we've crossed a line. We've crossed a line. You're obviously treating women poorly. This is the 7th woman that's come forward and said, yeah, you have video after video of Joe Biden being inappropriate with young girls, pulling their hair back and playing with their hair and smelling them and putting his arm in his hand in inappropriate places and having the girl, you can see her uncomfortable and everything else. We see one of Joe Biden's Democrat colleagues in the Senate, when Joe Biden sees the granddaughter of his colleague, and he makes a beeline for her. It's disturbing. He makes a beeline for her, and that Democrat colleague rushes in there to defend his granddaughter and smack Joe's hand and get him to not, don't you touch my granddaughter. And he basically rushed in to save his granddaughter from Joe Biden's touch. You have to question what they know in the Senate about Joe Biden that the rest of the voting world doesn't know. Because if a colleague of mine from work, any one of them, I work in a mill and it has 7 different areas to work. Now, these people and I don't work hand in hand on a daily basis, but we see each other periodically during the day for short snippets. And any one of them making their way towards my children and joking around and everything else would cause me 0 concern. This Democrat that knows Joe Biden thoroughly made a beeline to save his granddaughter from Joe Biden's touch. That speaks volumes, people. Volumes. And it's just unsettling. So Tara Reade was a grown woman, and she's fighting. She's got a voice. But they're trying their best to silence her. So now the newest thing that the Democrats are going to get is the mainstream media to help them silence this racist comment. Why do you think the Democrats get away with so much? It's the mainstream media. Why does the mainstream media protect the Democrats so much? Well, there's an old saying. Truth sounds like hate to those that hate truth. And it applies to this time right now where the Democrats and the mainstream media are trying to pull the wool so firmly over the voters' eyes in America. It's sad and it's troubling, but I'm going to keep my eye on this. I'm going to follow it along. I'm going to see where it goes, if Joe Biden is actually going to be named the candidate. This might cause him to have to step down, but who steps up? Who steps up? So hit that subscribe button, stay tuned for more podcasts, and let's follow along together.